Hi guys. Both my cameras are set to 720. The one facing me is 50 frames a second, the one facing forward is 60 frames a second. So I'm going to see how that comes out. Now, I did notice something in the last video I was editing. You see, my editing software had an update. Now, it was only supposed to fix minor bugs, minor glitches, stuff like that. Not that I'd ever encountered any, but whatever. Somebody somewhere obviously had. And I hadn't noticed since that update, which was roughly the same kind of time I got the SJ cam, to be fair. Give or take about a week. Since the update, everything has been being edited at 720, but I've been rendering and obviously recording in 1080. So I switched it in the last video that I uploaded, which would have been 28, I think it was 28. Yeah, 28. I switched it to actually edit in 1080 as well, and from what I can understand, a couple of comments, it's actually not bad. One person said stay at 720. Well, I only realised my mistake when I was editing 28. So what I've done is I'm going to trial 720 today, but depending on how it comes out, obviously I'll most likely go back to 1080 unless this is better quality. But we shall see, whatever. I mean, forward facing 160 frames a second, the one facing me is 50 frames a second. I haven't got a clue how it's going to come out. Maybe I want less frames, maybe I don't know. But anyway, onwards and upwards. I have Cambridge and Wellingborough today, unlike yesterday where I only had Cambridge. Yesterday's vlog was very short. It was just going through the streets in Cambridge, and I didn't end my day normally. I said I was going to see you after I'd finished tipping at Cambridge, and I never did. There is a reason for that. Basically, I try to keep my channel as neutral as possible, as you guys know. There's certain things where I let, you know, it's a bit of fun to go, oh, I hate fools or whatever, but you know, I try to stay neutral on most serious subjects. But I am a very politically motivated individual. Now, this is a very nice Rover about to come past. Look at that. I've worked on a couple of those. Lovely vehicles. Great smell inside that. Classic leather kind of smell. Ooh, lovely. But anyway, I'm a very politically motivated individual. And I have my own thoughts and theories on solutions to issues, maybe compromises to certain things, that kind of thing, you know, from anything. From being in the EU to gun control, from taxation to education, anything, basically anything and everything. And yesterday I decided I would try a contentious subject from a neutral standpoint. And I watched it back and it was pretty neutral, to be fair. I mean, it was neither left or right, but at the moment I'm in a position where I can do road work. I can tell you guys various bits and bobs, how the auto gearboxes work, POA, getting through villages, all that kind of stuff, how to reverse, all that kind of stuff. And at the moment I might as well stick to doing that, because in the future when I move, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to carry on as I am at the moment. And so I decided last night that I'm not going to bother tackling contentious issues until my channel evolves. And obviously I don't know how that's going to evolve once I move, whether I'm going to be able to continue to do this or whatever, you know. So I might as well leave the contentious stuff, the polarising, divisive stuff for now. And as and when I have to expand my channel into different directions, that's when I'll most likely tackle it. So yesterday's one was short because I decided not to put in the contentious subject. I decided to try to tackle in a neutral manner, just so as you're aware. Now, moving on to today. I'm going to again record going through Cambridge. I know you saw it yesterday. But if you actually think about that entire drive in, think about what I'm facing in this vehicle, and then think about all the potential things that you guys will face as a new driver. Now obviously you experienced guys, what I'm doing going into Cambridge, that's not exactly difficult, let's be honest, we all know this. But to the new guys it's probably, ooh, that's a bit tight. Okay? Now think about it. You have literally everything you're going to come across. You got the traffic islands, tight bits and bobs, the cycle lanes, you got those two lampposts that you have to squeeze through. Think about if you watch Trucker J. There's a place in Wellingborough, I've been through there a few times, but they're destroying the bridge at the moment, but it's the concrete bits he has to go through. The old buttresses for the bridge, walls, whatever. I've been through there in one of these a few times. Well, think about that, and then think about the lampposts that I'm going in between. Kind of the same width, you see. You've got the mini roundabouts, you've got residential streets, you've got people and pedestrians all over the place, a playground, children, everything, 90-degree turns, the works. So it's actually quite a good thing. I'll just turn that down a bit. It's actually quite a good thing for me to record and continually record so you can watch it. Because the last time, if you remember the bus coming on the roundabout, what I did so as the bus could carry on, so I then had room. Think about things like that. I mean, all of these kind of variables, that was beautiful. Think about all these kind of variables that I can come across in that stretch of road. You know, all the bits and bobs you can meet, the cyclists, the buses, the tightness, the pedestrians, the kids running out, everything. So I'm going to continually do as much as I can when I go to Cambridge along that stretch, because the more I do it, like I said in the last one, the more I do it, the more it's going to hit home with you new guys who aren't driving yet. And then when you come to do something similar, you'll be like, I remember Trucker Bill doing that. Ah, he did this, didn't he? And hopefully, like I said yesterday, it will help you to avoid silly little mistakes, stupid little accidents. Everybody has them, and you will have them yourselves, but hopefully not as bad. I suppose that's the only way I can put it. But there we go. So I will be doing a bit, again, going through those streets, the whole build up from the traffic lights, where I turn right, all the way down. I have been asked, I think it was Gareth, I am crap with names. Cars, I remember people by cars. Oh, that's weird, I know that. But I know certain people are in when I see certain cars. Names, no. Anyway, I think it was Gareth. He asked if I could refresh POA, period of availability. It's one of those weird things. It really is strange. POA is, depending on how long you drive, depends on whether you even remotely bother with it. Or how long you've been driving, I should say. Because the parameters for POA are pretty much exactly identical to the parameters for brake. The thing is, with a brake, it's a minimum of 15 minutes, a minimum of 30 minutes, or a total of 45. Okay, you've got to have a minimum 15 first, and then your next one, in the truck driving well, has to be 30. Okay, it doesn't record the 15 if you try and do 215, it doesn't work. So it's 15, yeah, that's the brake. Whereas POA, technically, every minute you are on POA counts. However, these things only ever record POA the same as they would record brake. So 15, that will be recorded. Anything over 15, that will be on the little cabins, like the pause symbol. It is a pause symbol, to be fair. And then the next bout of POA has to go past the 30-minute mark, otherwise it won't record on the screen. It will record it, but it won't show up on the screen. It's just the way they do it. The thing with POA, this is where it becomes really bizarre. The thing with POA is you can show POA as brake. So let's say you've been out all week. It's a Friday. You left it on POA while somebody was tipping you. They took their sweet time. Now, working time wise, or no, driving time wise. Sorry, not working time wise. Driving time wise, you don't have quite enough driving time to get back. But if you stop to show a brake, you're going to run out of time. Another night on the road, and then you're not going to get back till Saturday. Well, in that situation, you can, at the end of your shift, take a printout, as long as the POA was longer than the minute that the brake you required, 30 minutes, 45, whatever, and write on the back, say, took this POA as brake, or 45 minutes of this POA as brake, whatever, and then it's fine. So POA is one of those really weird things. If you've been driving quite a long time, you don't bother with it, because you've been driving before it came in, and you just view it the same. If you're new and you're doing your CPC and you're doing your hazard and your theory and your bits and bobs and all that, of course, POA, brake, brake. But hold on a minute, POA resets my driving time, so what does that mean? You see, this is where it gets really confusing. Now, my personal advice to anybody, experienced or otherwise, is use POA for POA and brake for brake. Now, there is a reason for that. It's not a legal reason before anybody starts saying, oh, it's not a legal reason. Okay, it's just my personal reason. That's it. Do with my personal reason whatever you will, but this is my reason. Let's say you never ever bother with POA. Okay? You just don't bother, you just leave it on brake. Okay? It's the same thing. Who cares? Well, you've had your daily rest. Okay? You get into work. So you've had your 11 hours. Lovely job. And you sit in the waiting room for an hour. Okay, that's POA. Okay, that's a period of availability. You've started your shift, but you're not working. Okay? You get in your cab, you bung your card in, and you leave it on brake for that hour as well. You've just had your daily rest, which is 11 hours. That is shown as brake. You then fill your start time. Oh, I started at da da da, and then there's another hour where you're on brake. Perfectly fine, whatever. Think about that. Let's say you get pulled over by the DVSA. Okay? Whatever your rights are, let's just say you get pulled over by the DVSA. They check your paperwork. You started at 11 AM. You didn't finish your daily rest period until 12 noon. What are they going to think about the kind of person you are? Somebody who bends the rules, perhaps. Yes? So they're going to start taking everything you say your bulb's gone or something whilst you've been driving. Oh, it was working before I left. Really? Was it really, sir? All that kind of stuff. Because your impression to them is somebody who don't really care. Whatever. I know my rights. Think about it from a different perspective. Let's say you're driving along. Okay, there's two scenarios I'm going to give you. You're driving along, trundle, in your car, and the blues and twos of a cop car goes off behind you. Pull over, he pulls over, and now in this country we can get out. I know in America you've got to stay in there, but whatever. You get out, you deal with the officer, and you get out, turn to him, and you, first of all, you go, what seems to be the problem, officer? You know you got a brake light out near side, didn't you? Oh, really? Oh, cheers for that. I'll have to stop in the Halford to get another bulb. Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks, boss. It's not like it shows up on my dashboard, is it? La da da, laugh and joke, everyone's happy. Double checks your licence, make sure the car's yours, gives a little background check, everything checks out. Thank you kindly, off you go. Scenario 2, he pulls you over. What the bloody hell's your problem? What the effing hell are you doing pulling me over? I know my rights. Your brake light's out. Let's have a check of your car. Your tyres are close to the limit, maybe just over the limit. And then he's going to go through you with a fine-tooth comb. And so that, quite simple, your brake light was out, cheers boss, I'm off to Halfords to get another bulb, has turned into your nick section 5, public disorder. Now transpose that into truck driving, your attitude, the way you think about it. DVSA officer pulls you over. You have shown 4 or 5 hours worth of brake every single day. Your paperwork says you started at one time, your card tells him that your daily rest ended at another time, you're bending the rules in his eyes perhaps. You know, that's the kind of person you are in his eyes. He's going to go through you with a fine-tooth comb, everything you tell him as your excuse. Oh well, the bulb obviously was working before I left, it's obviously gone since I've been on the road, all that kind of stuff. You know, the little innocent infringements here and there, they're not innocent in his mind anymore. Do you see what I'm getting at? So I will always advise, and it's only advice, it's up to you what you do with it, you use POA for POA and brake for brake. Now, in relation to POA being recorded, obviously it recorded 15 and then the next one it will only record on the little pausey thing if you go over 30. Now when it gets to 45 minutes of POA, it will reset your driving time like you've had a break, because like I've said, the bizarre thing with POA is you can show it as brake. Now the thing is, if you then do another 4.5 hours driving time, you will get an infringement, which means, obviously if you go over your 4.5 hours driving time, so let's say it was on 3 hours when you went on POA for 50 minutes, if you now go over an hour and a half driving time, so you've gone over your 4.5 hours driving time before break, it will record as an infringement. So at the end of your day you will have to take a printout and say took POA as brake to avoid that infringement. So if you're not going to use POA as brake, if you're going to decide not to, and I would advise you don't do it regularly, personally, again, personal opinion, not legality, personal opinion, then be very careful. Use your POA, but do not go over your 4.5 hours driving time in total before showing a brake. But POA is one of those really bizarre things. It is literally pointless. It's just one of those directives that have been introduced, and it is pretty much, it really is, hand on my heart, it really is pretty much pointless unless you are one of the unlucky drivers who gets paid off of his tachograph card, for his download, where your boss doesn't pay you for any brake you have shown. So it's kind of, if you're going to do agency or you're going to transfer about between companies, whatever, it's kind of a good habit to get into, to use POA when you're not on brake and brake for only when you are on brake. The reason being is if you change companies and you always leave it on brake and that company pays you off of your tacho card, you did a 12-hour day, you took 6 hours of brake, you get paid for 6 hours, you are going to be angry. So it's kind of a good habit to be in. What you decide to do is entirely up to you. There is no real legality in it, but I'm just trying to point out the impression that you will make to a DVSA officer. That's all. If he looks at your paperwork and it doesn't correspond with your card, are you, in his eyes, one of those drivers that bends the rules to suit your whims, your needs? Think about it. In his eyes, you're going to be one of those hooky drivers. You're going to be a driver who's bent as a Soviet sickle, aren't you? In his eyes. Not necessarily that you are, but your first impression has now just sunk you. And he's less likely to be willing to listen to your excuses. Just saying. But anyway, hopefully that's cleared a few things up with POA. I've gone into it. in depth, as I always do, prattle on, prattle on, prattle on. But my personal advice to you guys, and it will always remain the same, I don't care what any experienced driver tells me, as long as POA exists, until the point POA is taken away, you use POA for any time where you are not working, obviously you're not driving, and you are not showing an official brake. You only ever use brake for your rest periods. Because if you get into that habit, and like I said, you do end up going to a company that pays you off the taco card, you're fine. If you get into bad habits, you can get screwed every which way from Sunday. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. I shall see you when I get to the street part of Cambridge, and you can get bored watching me do it again. Well, here we go again. Oh, nice and easy. I'm a bit heavier than I was yesterday. Yesterday I was 26 tonne, I think. Yeah, it was about 26 and a half tonne, something like that. Today I am 37 tonnes. I've obviously got the bulk load, so everything I'm doing is a lot slower. Taking off is a lot slower, turning is a lot slower. The gear selection lever down here is also, this is for somebody who asked me about how the auto boxes work. In this Actros, now it's different in other vehicles, some of them have, like, you know, the light on and off thing, they have a switch like that, like the DAF and MANs have switches like that for D, N and R, drive, neutral, reverse. And then you've got a crawler mode, so you've got a D with the tortoise and an R with the tortoise or something like that. Well, in this particular one, the Actros, you've got your stalk here, okay, you've got your indicator stalk here and your wiper blades this side, and then you've got another stalk on this side, okay. This one is your continuous brake, Jake brake, exhaust brake, whatever you want to refer to it as. It's your selection, your gear selector, D, N, R, drive, neutral, reverse. Yeah, it is D on this one. Some of them have A for automatic. Volvos are like that with the I shift. Now you pull one click, you've got one level of continuous brake, virtually nothing when you're loaded. You pull it a second click, you've got your second setting of continuous brake, it's a bit more harsh, and then you go third, that's full brake. You heard me do that on the streets yesterday where you heard the revs go up. I went into the third one. Now if you press it down, it'll go down again, down again. If you press it up, pull it towards you, it'll go up again. Now this is third, this is the third setting. Okay, there is no clutch. You can select, it's a paddle on this particular one. The Axors have a little nub on the end of well, the armrest is above it, and then there's another kind of secondary armrest. It's basically for the gear selector. A little nub, button in, forward into gear, and then button on that side is, I don't know, button in, I've got to be driving it to remember. Yeah, the button on the right hand side is gear, and then the button on the left hand side is in neutral. That's forward, and that's back. There is a little switch underneath that selector. Up is obviously gear up, down is obviously gear down. This particular vehicle, the Actroses, they have 4 reverse gears. Okay? So you can actually change up through the gears. They won't do it automatically, the reverse is manual. The reason being is that in 4th reverse you can be doing like 35 miles an hour, so you don't want to accidentally go into that, you know. Check everything is happy, no buses are coming that way, so I've got enough room. You can override, you can select to go into a manual mode where you use your gears as manual. You can override it at any time, you don't have to go into manual mode to do it. You can just go up through your gears or down through your gears whenever you feel like. Obviously you can't go down more than a couple of gears at a time if it registers you've hit it twice. Most of the time it won't, it'll register you've hit it once and it'll only change one gear at a time. But that's Mercedes Actros and Mercedes Axors. Obviously the Actros has the little thing on that side and the Axors have the little nub on that side with a little switch underneath. Now obviously Axors aren't being made anymore, so they're going to start disappearing. Good thing. What's replacing them? I don't know how that's set out. It will most likely be something very similar to what's in this. Western Star uses exactly the same thing over in the States and Canada. So if you are in the States or Canada and you are going to end up driving a Western Star, if it's an automatic, you have exactly the same setup that I have. Basically because all of this, other than your extra gauges down here for your oil and your battery and your airs and all the other bits and bobs we don't have, you are set out basically the same kind of steering wheel, the same stalks, all that kind of stuff. Freightliner is owned by Daimler AG, so you have basically got a Mercedes, but Freightliner have done the coachworks, so you're living in a Freightliner but you are driving a Merc, basically. Again, that's for Americans and Canadians. But I thought I'd just go through that because I have actually been asked to go through the gears and I have forgotten to do it. I will most likely do, like I said earlier, I will most likely do something with my mobile phone at Cambridge just to show you the actual selector. Obviously I won't do it whilst I'm driving because I can't. Well, not legally anyway. Right, here we go. Let's get the good parts going. Let's get the good times rolling. Oh, Mr. Policeman, Mr. Policeman. Right, come on the road. Get lined up. Straight through. Lovely. Nice and easy. Always watch out on weekends, sunny days, school holidays. Cars can hide children, especially when you're coming up to a zebra crossing. And again, things like this, if you've got the room, just use it. You know, there's no cyclists, so use it. Make your life easier, don't make your life harder. A bit like when the famous quote, Billy Gibbons' guitar when B.B. King played it. Billy Gibbons used to use really thick gauge strings to try and get the sound. B.B. King played it because he used to use real weak strings, 8s I think, and Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top if anyone's curious, he used like 14, something really thick. B.B. King just played his guitar and went, why are you working so hard? And ever since then, ZZ Top have been the great proponents of really thin strings. I think Billy Gibbons now uses 7 gauge, which is really thin. But like I said, why work, you know, using that quote, why work hard if you don't need to? You know? There we go. Always just see everything that's going on around you. And just think about it. You know? Think logically about it. For example, I can see cars coming. They're going to be in the middle of the road. That KA hasn't got to the traffic lights yet. I know he's sped up a bit, but whoops. He saw the truck coming and thought, I'll just speed up to try and stop the truck. Or she, I don't know. I didn't really see the driver too much. Well, no, because I'm going to get there before you. Now you're going to have to brake harder, aren't you? There is an element of being thick-skinned in this job. You do have to command every so often. Oh, he's using the road markings. Guess how easy my life is now? What a soppy tit. What an absolute muppet. Right, you guys can't see that, but there is a 50cc scooter or something similar behind me, being driven by probably a young teenager, t-shirt, shorts. I was indicating left to turn left. Yep, he's catching me up. Obviously I stayed wide, and you've got the cycle lane. He's put himself in the cycle lane to go for it. He's come this way, and I was turning and I noticed him. I'm like, he's at work, and you just saw him have to. What? I was indicating. You heard it go click, 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 click. Yes, I was indicating. Which means if he's behind me, I don't think he's behind me anymore. I think he turned off. But I was looking down there just in case he tried to get down the inside of me. No, he is behind me. I can see his shadow. Which means when I go wide here, I'm going to have to watch to see whether he goes. Oh no, he's learnt his lesson, he's staying behind me. Well done, that man. What an absolute idiot. I'm trying desperately to be censored on this one. What a complete... And he just swore at me as he went past. What a muppet. Anyway, here we are. Right, well, as promised, this is the standard gear selection lever on the Actros. As you can see, you've got D there for drive, R there for reverse. That's your auto eco, and then you press it again, you get manual. That's what the M stands for. As you can see from that symbol, that's also the 3-stage continuous brake I was talking about. If you pull it up, not down, but pull it up, that's your plus, so that's up a gear. Push it down, that's your minus, so that's down a gear. Okay, because that's your cog symbol, plus, minus, so up. So kind of second, third, fourth, fifth, fourth, third, second. That kind of thing, you see. But there you go. Now this is, as far as I'm aware, exactly the same as on Western Stars, like the trucker Josh is driving. He's got exactly the same setup as far as I'm aware. Unsure about the continuous brake in American rigs, because I know they've got a Jake brake, which is, from what I've been told, slightly stronger than our stuff. But there you go. That's basically the gear selections in an auto Actros. Right then, peeps, I'm here at Wellingborough, half day close, and I said a little while ago when about the white BMW getting, you know, totaled by the truck because it was in a place the truck driver couldn't see. Can you see the Audi that is just down there? That's exactly the same length of car, exactly the same size of vehicle. Now, okay, that particular camera is, you know, right on the windshield, so chances are you're going to be able to see it. However, what I shall do is from my face, so as you can see I'm doing it from my face, okay, because obviously he would have hit the car roughly where I've lined up to in order to have done what he did, okie dokie, without catching it on the front. To have spun it round, he'd have had to have hit it about here. So I'll hold this to my face and I shall take a photo of what you can see. Okie dokie, so you saw me take that photo, obviously you can now see it. But that is exactly what that driver could have seen. There is no way on God's green earth he didn't see that BMW. Now, I promised you I would do this as soon as the room became available, and it's become available. I know it's been quite a while since that upload, but there you go. You can see now, here and now, beyond shadow of all reasonable doubt, perfectly lined up, exactly the same situation, exactly the same length of car. There is no way he didn't see it. There is no way that is a blind spot. Unless, of course, he sits like that. Now, if he was driving along like that, that car is invisible. I can't see that car now. I can see it in that mirror and I can see it in that mirror. But if you're couching back driving a truck like that, you are an idiot. If you're going to drive a truck, you need to sit yourself up. Okay? You need to sit upwards. Okay? This is your job. It's not your couch. It's not your living room. Your job. You need to sit high. You need to be looking down so you can see everything. If you're a gangster leaner, you can't see anything. And that's your fault. Anyway, I thought I'd share that. Well, anyway, that's the end of another day. Oh, wonderfully easy, lovely day. Not much going on. Oh, obviously this was a relatively long vlog, I would guess, but I suppose I'm going to just get known for them. Long vlogs. I did, if you're curious, 10.2 miles a gallon today. It's not too bad. I can live with that. I can live with that. They only want us to achieve, I think it's 9.5. Something like that. So yeah, I can live with that. I'm within parameters. But anyway, cheers for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, share about, do whatever it is you usually do. And I shall see you in the next one. I might make something on Tuesday. Now it's either just going to be the usual kind of day off that I'm off to go and do this, whatever. Or it will, if my mate is available, it will probably feature something about something else I would like to get into. So we shall see. It all depends on whether he's available, because obviously he's the one who's going to be teaching me the bits and bobs. So we'll go from there. But anyway, I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.